Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. Hope you're having a great day. It is so cold here in Virginia. In Virginia, my daughter, Emma, calculated that she's actually been out of school with the holiday break included over 17 days. So they've been out of school for a few days just because of all the snow and the cold weather. So if you're watching me from different parts of the country or if you're watching me from Virginia, I am so hoping this winter weather is going to end soon. So first, we just want to introduce myself. My name is Drew Demery. I'm a productivity coach, which basically is a business strategy coach. And every Monday at 8 a.m., we're going to talk about different things that affect our mindset. Because I'll tell you, a few people have asked over and over again, so I keep kind of reiterating it, is like, why do you do these Facebook Lives on Monday talking about mindset? I truly believe that a lot of the things that are holding us back from our full potential is our mindset. So I think if we talk about it and we really concentrate on it, I think it can definitely make a difference. From a selfish reason, the reason why I did this is actually there's a lot of the mindset topics are topics that I struggle with myself. So it's just one of those things that's a challenge to kind of work on that. So I want to talk to you basically today about really the lack of focus or what we need to do to make sure we have focus in our lives. I really think this is one of the largest topics that we've talked about in Mindset Monday. I really feel myself that I lack focus a lot, and I'm really conscious of it. I'm really focusing on how to focus. So the first thing that I always look at is, why do I not focus? And there's some kind of key threads that you may connect with. There's some things that may be happening in your world that maybe overlap that I'm experiencing as well. So chime in if you have any comments about what you think your lack of focus is or what are the reasons behind it. Give me a thumbs up. Give me a hashtag Mindset Monday, just so I know that you're there, because I know there's a lot of people that watch it now and watch it later on throughout the day, later in the afternoon. But one of the things, the reason why I think I can't get focused is just simply lack of sleep or fatigue. I will notice that if I am not focused that day, whether it's at work or at home, it's either I'm super tired or that I didn't get a good night's rest. So I think, sleep is not overrated. We all need that sleep to keep us to be focused. And I want us to be aware of that. So if you're going into a big meeting or if you're having a big event at your house and you're just not as focused, it could be because you're just simply fatigued. So be aware of that. So when you're making big life decisions or big decisions at your job or your career, make sure you're well rested. And I think I personally find clarity in that because there's so many days that I'm very focused and just really on point, and then there's a day or two that I'm not. I'm like, what? How can I be so on top of it, and the next couple days I'm not? And it's just being conscious and being in control of your schedule, specifically your sleep schedule. Second thing that I've noticed about being the lack of focus is just having stress in my life. So we all have different levels of stress, but extreme stress or consistent stress causes me to have lack of focus. And I want us to be aware of that. I know some people meditate. I journal. I do a lot of scripture reading and just things in the morning to kind of get my head right. To release some of the stress. So if you're working on the focus, you really need to also focus on what's causing the lack of that, which is again, fatigue and stress. The third one, this is one that I absolutely love that I've learned. I read a book called The One Thing. And The One Thing basically focuses on, you can only do one task at a time. And the reason why is that the concept of multitasking doesn't exist. So many times I've seen people, I'm a great multitasker. And I think it comes from just living life, and I've experienced it seeing with my mom, a single mom raising two kids. She was cleaning, she was cooking, she was helping us with homework, she was doing all these things at the same time, and it was considered multitasking. So growing up, the programming is, wow, she can do all those things very well. Well, scientifically speaking, from the One Thing book, it's basically saying that your brain can't do two things at one time. You're getting about 50% productivity out of your brain, because your mind cannot physically concentrate on two things at once. So the theory of multitasking doesn't exist, and again, that creates more and more challenges if you're trying to focus on one thing. Focus on one thing at a time. It allows you just to get things done more efficiently and actually more effectively. So think about that when you're going throughout your day, whether it's your home life or your business life. Multitasking is definitely a challenge, and we have to stop that. Start something, finish that, move on to the next one, start that, finish that, move on. And I think that's something that I think we all just got that programming early in our childhood, and we feel like it's an attribute when in fact it really fatigues our brain. The fourth thing, which I think is probably the number one thing that I would say for you guys to kind of listen and concentrate on, is your physical environment, the physical area that you're in, the room, the space, the office space, your kitchen, wherever you're actually trying to focus your attention on. There is an interesting study, and I looked it up again yesterday because I thought it was 7 seconds, but the average attention span for a human adult is 8 seconds. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You're already bored, right? You're moving on to something else. So 8 seconds, we can't even concentrate and we can't even focus on one thing. That is actually down since it was actually used to be 12 seconds since we all started carrying smartphones. So smartphones has actually created less focus. And so I'm thinking, why is that? Well, everything on my phone I'm accessible to 24 hours a day. It's instant gratification and allows me to focus on multiple things. So 8 seconds is our average attention span. The funny thing is, I read a blog a couple days ago that a goldfish has a higher attention span than an adult. So we are worse than a goldfish when it comes to our focus and our attention and our ability to kind of hone in on our skills because of our attention span. So what does that mean? So I really want you to think about, are you distracted? Is there shiny object, or what I call squirrel syndrome, where, oh, I got a notification, I got a private message, I got an email, I got a text message, I got to go on Twitter, I got to go on Facebook. All of these things are creating distractions in your environment that are allowing you not to focus. And that's just the technology part of the world. We're not talking about the stuff that's physically in your environment. Loud noises, being in a room that doesn't have a door. I talk about all the time, you need to have a bunker, not work off your kitchen countertop, right? So everything has to be focused in, and I think your environment is such a huge part of it. And so turning off your notifications, we actually just implemented in our training programs that we offer here at our office that all their cell phones are going to a basket. And at my first, I had a mindset of, oh my gosh, this is not going to work, or they're grown adults, they're going to get grumpy about that. But it actually allowed them to focus in class more. They're not focused on a ding from, maybe their spouse or their partner about what's for dinner. They're focusing on the activities and the training that they're come to listen to. And I think it's a mindset on what do you want to focus on, and it's got to be one thing at a time. So just thoughts for that. I think the best example of lack of focus is we've got to ultimately make fewer decisions. So I think if there's one thing to cause a shift in our mindset around focus, we actually have to physically make less decisions. If you didn't hear me the first time, it's really important. We're in a world where we have a lot of options right now, and I'll give you an interesting example of how my brain works. Is just the other day we were in Indiana, my hometown, and my wife loves Meijer's. I don't know if you guys have a Meijer's where you are, but she's obsessed with that store. So we're picking up a few things, and I'm literally in the chip aisle, and we're looking at picking up different items for, our holiday dinner. And there's so many choices in the chip aisle. Like I literally zoned out, couldn't figure out what chips to get. There was, all different brands, there's all different flavors, and it really came down to I didn't even know what to focus on. I couldn't even figure out what I was doing because I had so many choices. And my wife says all the time, just make a decision. Well, when you lack focus, you can't make a decision. And actually, I kind of dug into it because I was like, why am I like that? Why can I not make a decision? Why do I have this pause when I can't even pick out a bag of chips at a store? It's because there's actually and I am not an expert at this. I literally just read 3 or 4 articles to kind of understand how my brain or my mindset works. But there's like a neuroscience, and there's this glucose that fuels the willpower that we have, and it also helps us make better choices. And ultimately, the more choices you make, the less effective your brain is, because it fatigues it. Because every single time you're making a choice between sour cream and onion and original, for the example of the chips, your brain is constantly going to full focus on that one and then jumping off and then full focus into the other. So your brain is physically fatiguing itself every time you make decisions. I see this so many times when I'm coaching my clients, when I'm like, well, did you do this? Did you do this? If I give them too many tasks, or if we actually together as a group create too many tasks for them, they actually accomplish almost none of them because there's so many decisions to be made. But if we pare them down and let's just say, these are the 2 or 3 decisions I need you to focus on for the next 2 to 3 weeks, they actually accomplish almost 75 to 80% of them. And the more and more I see this, the more and more I concentrate on the mindset around focus, I see it happening and I see the shift. So just wanted you to be aware of that. I know that's maybe odd with the chip aisle, but I don't know if it happens to you. It's an interesting thing when you're trying to make a decision. Your brain fires on, off. And the more you do it, the worse it gets. So that's why we also talk about you need to make your best decisions in the morning, because your brain is constantly working throughout the day, and that mindset of trying to focus on one thing at a time really fatigues you down. It's no different than riding a bike or running a marathon. It's like running on basically its own cylinder all day long. So if you're making decisions, make sure you kind of make those earlier in the morning. I can tell you I've made some decisions in the evening and woke up the next morning going, why did I do that? Right? It's because you're fatigued. You're not focused on the actual task. So one of the things that I thought that was interesting is I read a couple other articles around successful people such as Steve Jobs or Mark Zuckerberg, and they all wear the similar or the same outfits every single day. And I'm like, why? I mean, Mark Zuckerberg, no offense, great successful guy, but he wears basically a t-shirt and a hoodie every day, right? It's because he's making less choices on things that he doesn't feel that's necessarily important to his production. So he's making less choices so he can focus on other things. So it just was a cool kind of full circle experience for me to kind of look and read and learn about this. And that's the cool thing about these Mindset Mondays. I learn just as much as you guys do as we kind of have these conversations. So one of the other things I think that we could to kind of create more focus is we need to take a break. So I am a guy that I need to start, I need to finish. I cannot stop early. I just need to have that finished product. But what I've found, and what I've actually done a little bit of research on, is that they say that you need to take a break, even a 5 to 10 minute break, whether you're at home with the kids or if you're at the office. Get up, go take a break, take a 5-10 minute break, and your focus gets kind of recalibrated. Because again, we're fatiguing our brain by not doing that. So I personally haven't done it. I'm going to put that in my calendar to create more breaks. I can tell you that is something I physically see in my body. The more and more I coach clients, I'm maybe not digging a ditch, but I'm physically fatigued at the end of the day because I'm focused on my client, right? And as the day progresses, it wanes and it kind of creates me to be tired. So one of the other things that I want to kind of end with, there's 2 things. We need to really focus on, I forgot. There's one other cool thing I learned while I was doing a little bit of research. So give yourself a break. One of the things that we were talking about before. There's a little fun fact. A study was conducted, and they said judges were more likely to give prisoners a favorable ruling at the beginning of the day or after a food break. Okay, let's just break this down. If you're being accused of a crime and you're in front of a judge, if the judge has taken a break, maybe a food break, or you're at the beginning of the day, you're more likely to get a better ruling than if you catch him at the end of the day. What? Like, that's crazy to me. But it just shows the power of the mindset of how they focus. The judge is focusing. So anyway, not to get off topic, but that was a crazy, I don't want to be the guy at 5 o'clock or 4:30 because you might get more of a life sentence versus 2-3 years in prison. I don't know. It's kind of weird. Alrighty, back to my last topic. I want to make sure we talk about because we know there's environment distractions that we shared with just a few minutes ago, we're going to have to go offline. We are. We're going to have to get off the grid a little bit. We've got to realize that our cell phones and our technology allows us to lack focus. There's constantly browsing opportunities. There's constantly feeds that come up and we want to read an article, and then we hop to a next article. We hop to something else. We really got to concentrate on that, even if it's just 30 minutes, 45 minutes a day. And again, I am guilty of these things, so I am not preaching to you guys for sure. Even my phone is literally right by my head. I use it as an alarm clock. I have found that if it's not around me, I don't focus on it, right? So why not go offline? Why not go maybe 1 hour a day and just say, I need to put my cell phone down, or let me turn off social media for a while. I think there's value to social media. Obviously, I'm on it right now. But it does lack focus when you have those shiny object syndromes and that squirrel syndrome. So just kind of interesting thing. One other little final fun fact for myself is when I'm lacking focus, music. Music helps me get back to my center. So sometimes I feel like I'm Rain Man sometimes. Sometimes I literally have things going on in my head and I'm constantly writing on a tablet, all the ideas I have going on. And it's not allowing me to focus on the task that I'm currently trying to do, right? So for me, I literally just take a few minutes, put some earbuds in, listen to one or two of my favorite songs, and it just centers me. It allows me to come back to my focus. So that might be similar to a break, but that's something that I do that I think that it really is important to do so. So I just want to end with the final kind of thought on the whole mindset around your focus. Focus drives your mindset, right? So we were talking about this. We've been talking about this for a few months now. If you focus on negative people or negative things, you're going to get negative results. So be careful on what you focus on, because what you focus on expands. That's a rule. That's kind of we call that a Bowl law in the company that I work for. What you focus on expands. So focus on the positive things. Focus on things that improve your mindset, because that's the difference between really having a successful day and really hitting your goals and really accomplishing some of your dreams that you set out for. All right, so we always end Mindset Monday with a quote, and it's actually from Steve Jobs, and I'm going to read this kind of slow because I had to read it a couple times, but it's got some wisdom in it, and I want you guys to be aware of it. It says, this has been one of my mantras: focus and simplicity. Simple can be harder than complex. Simple can be harder than complex. You have to work hard to get your thinking clean to make it simple. But it's worth it in the end, because once you get there, you can move mountains. There's so many cool things about this mindset quote. Simple can be harder than complex. Oh my gosh, I love that. Can we put that on a bumper sticker? You have to work harder to get your thinking clean to make it simple. I love to get your thinking clean. What do we do to kind of clarity or focus on what we're thinking? But it's worth it at the end, because once you get there, you can move mountains. I love that quote. I think it really crystallizes the mindset of going through this whole journey together, of really every Monday starting your week with a different focus, right? Or a different mindset. So thank you guys for joining me on Facebook Live for Mindset Monday today. I want you to focus on one thing at a time. Don't multitask, and really protect your environment, because the more that you focus on the one thing at a time, I think you're going to have a much more productive and successful day. All right. Well, have a great day. Again, I'm in Virginia. It's a little cold, so I wish you warmer weather. I hope my daughter Emma and all your children go back to school soon. I'm sure they're stirring and ready to go back to school as well. Again, if you have any comments, comment below. I'd love to do that. Also, if you have some topics on Mindset Mondays that maybe I haven't covered yet, I'd love to get advice. I try to come up with some different topics, but your ideas will really help me fuel kind of some of the ones in the future. So, all right. Well, have a great day, and I'll talk to you next Monday. Thanks, guys. Bye.